Hi, welcome to ShowMeTheCurry.com. I'm Anuja.
And I'm Kathal, and today we're making Kathal Kebabs.
Yep, a fabulous recipe, something different and something wonderful and, just out of the ordinary. Kathal basically, or jackfruit, is one of the biggest fruits in the world.
That big or bigger sometimes.
Right.
Really big, and it's kind of got like a spiky green exterior to it, and it's darn right scary if you don't know how to use it. It's kind of a scary fruit.
Right. Now if you have to deal with it and you have to cut it up yourself, you have to make sure it's, you oil your hands, you oil your knife, you oil yourself, because something is going to stick to something. So it's a little tedious, but of course absolutely doable and absolutely delicious. So we are using, of course, the canned one because we cannot lay our hands on fresh, unfortunately. So this is what it looks like, and this is the can that we are using. It's available at Indian grocery stores, at Oriental grocery stores, and this is the young green jackfruit. Now jackfruit can be had ripe and when it's yellow also, but this is the young green one. It's white inside, white flesh, and we're using 2 cans, approximately 8 ounces or 250 grams each. So we're using a total about half a kg, which is about 1 pound. So here it is. We've taken it out of the can, we've just drained it, and we just let water run through it one time. That's about it. I'm going to take a pressure cooker and just put this in here.
So in addition to the jackfruit, our next ingredient is chana dal. So we've taken a half cup of chana dal and then washed it really well and let all the cloudy water run out and drained it. And here's that, half cup. And we're also using half of a large onion. We're going to roughly chop this.
So all these things are going to go into the pressure cooker, and it's going to be pressure cooked. It's going to become soft, and then we're just going to food process it. So that's why the onions are not very small and the kathal is a little on the bigger side, and that's absolutely fine. We're going to be using garlic cloves. This is about 6 of them.
We also have a chunk of garlic here, this big. If you grate it down, it'll probably equal to about 2 tablespoons of garlic, but it's a fairly big chunk, and we can cut that down as well.
And we've got green chilies. We're just going to put them whole.
And we're also going to add 2 teaspoons of garam masala.
And we're going to use some whole peppercorns. This is about half a teaspoon. Again, it is to taste. We're going to be adding some salt, but half a teaspoon. We can always adjust later.
And finally, we have 1 cup of water.
And of course, we forgot something, old age. Here's half a teaspoon of dry methi leaves. And we're going to mix it in. We're going to close it. We're going to take it to the stove, put it on high.
So our pressure cooker is off the stove. So for a little recap, what we did is we put it on the stove and let it cook until it whistled 1 time. And as soon as it whistled 1 time, we reduced the flame to a simmer and let it go for 25 minutes. After which we turned it off, and it's been sitting here and the pressure has gone down all by itself. So it's safe to open now. Wow.
Yeah, there you go. Looks good, looks well done. You don't want it super mushy also, but you want it cooked. And the color is just fabulous. We're just going to allow it to cool down just a little bit, and then we're going to put it in the food processor. Now, this is just perfect amount of water, but sometimes, there's too much water left over. All you have to do is take it to the stove again, put it back on like a medium-low, and just dry it out a little bit without covering it. Just allow it to dry up, and it'll be maximum 4 or 5 minutes. That's about it.
So our jackfruit or kathal mixture is cooled down, so we can continue working with it.
So for this, you definitely need a food processor and not a blender.
So as we're putting this in the food processor, we're going to reserve about 1/4 of this mixture, and we're going to add it a little bit later so that we can retain some of the texture of this.
In between, you may need to push it down a little bit just so that everything gets round. And once everything is minced or food processed to a similar consistency, you're going to add the balance of the kathal. See, the other thing we did was we tasted the mixture, and the salt is a little low, but again, it is to taste, so see what you need to do. We're going to put about half more teaspoon, and we're also going to put in some dried mint leaves. Now you can put it, if you have fresh, please put that. That's just like does it. But not at this point, you're going to put it a little later. But we have dried, so it really doesn't matter. So you're going to put about a tablespoon.
If you're using the fresh mint, maybe just a handful of the leaves.
And now I'm going to just pulse it so that the texture remains. That looks perfect. There's a few big pieces and a few small pieces. Perfect. So you're going to take the bowl back again and you're going to transfer it back into the bowl. So we're also going to add about a tablespoon of fresh lime juice.
The reason we're tasting this now is we're about to add an egg inside of here, and you don't want to taste it after you've added a raw egg. And so now is a good time to try it.
Okay, now we're using an egg right now, just one egg for the whole thing. But if you don't eat eggs at all, you can always take a half a potato or one potato, just boil it well and just mash it and put it in. It is just basically to bind everything.
And mix it through. So we've got a skillet on the stove back here, and we have about a teaspoon or two of oil. Depending on how big your skillet is, how wide it is, you can add more or less oil. Basically, you need to just coat the bottom of the pan.
And it's on medium heat, and you're going to start making the kebabs. So you can make them as big as you want or as small, and you can make little nice ones.
Perfect. The other thing we're using is panko breadcrumbs, which is basically Japanese style breadcrumbs, which are a lot more crumbly than your normal breadcrumbs. So what this does is it gives you a really nice crispy coating to your kebabs.
Absolutely yummy. You can find them at actually a lot of grocery stores now started carrying them, and also Oriental grocery stores. Perfect place to buy.
Right. If you don't have them, but don't worry, you can still use regular breadcrumbs.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to dip it in this. Now this is a little soft because ideally you should just let this sit for a little while so that it again hardens up, so it's a little easier to form. But again, we're a little pressed for time over here, so we're just going to do this. Coat it nicely with the panko and wait for the pan to heat up.
So our pan is nice and hot, and we're ready to put in our kebabs. And we're going to wait for the bottom to get a nice golden crust before we flip them over. So since there's egg in this, we want to make sure it heats all the way through, and once it gets that golden crust, just flip it over.
So we're going to drizzle a little bit of oil on the top over here. And since I'm on a diet, I didn't do it to this one. This one's mine. And they're still soft, like we mentioned. We did not put them in the fridge. So, but once you do put them in the fridge, they become a little tougher and harder, so it'll be easier to move them off of them. So Kathal Kebabs are ready. Let's dig in.
They look fabulous.
Yep. Very soft. I think I would compare them to Shammi Kebabs.
Wow.
Okay. I've had them before. Kathal's first time. Go ahead.
It's delicious. It's got so much flavor, and it's soft. You know, you eat it and it, you know, you're not fighting with it. It's really soft, but yet the texture is there. So I love that.
Yeah, I think the panko does a fabulous job. You know, it adds to the softness. It's a great contrast to the softness of the kebab. So I think even if you're doing breadcrumbs, if you make it yourself, just don't crush them too much where they're like a fine powder. I think it'll do the same trick, right?
Yeah. Fabulous. This is a great appetizer. If you had a plate of them at your next party, well, your guests will be like, whoa. It looks like a lot of effort, but it's quite a pretty easy recipe, so really doable. So enjoy these delicious Kathal Kebabs, and join us again for another episode of ShowMeTheCurry.com.
Adding a pinch of spice to your life.